My goodness me, did I think I'd arrived when I slipped on a Marks and Spencer's autograph. In the days when Take That were leading the branding on it.
Were they?
I don't know what this did for me, but there was a genuine rush of dopamine. I don't know, I've got nothing against a manager in Primark or whatever it is, but they will be decked head to toe in the old polyester.
Not comfortable necessarily.
No. I remember, I think I've mentioned it at some point on this podcast, but one of my many part-time jobs as a student, aside from the funeral service organist, which it needs a whole episode all on its own, was the assistant supervisor at Boots, brackets weekends only, close bracket. They used to enjoy a navy blue polyester trouser, which I don't mind telling you, used to chafe around the lower region a little bit.
They provide the polyester trousers.
Yeah, well, the polyester trouser in blue and an A-line blue polyester skirt. I mean, not that it was in any way sexist, but I went from the standard blue tie. You don't realise how big a deal this was, but I went from the standard solid block blue tie and the Boots badge that just said Ben to the assistant supervisor, which would have a white vertical sort of line across it all the way down the tie. And that was the assistant supervisor, and the ladies had to don a cravat,
very classy,
which
very
had
classy.
So that was the workwear experience. And
you were destined for big things. That assistant supervisor at Boots.
Well, if you became the full supervisor, they would then measure you up for the jacket,
right?
Which would be in matching blue polyester. But I do recall towards the end of my time there, they had a real revamp of the uniform and drafted in Jeff Banks,
right.
To really sort of zhush up the uniform.
He used to have a line in Debenhams, didn't he? Back when there was a Debenhams.
Yes, that's right. He did have a few lines, I think, but that's obviously between him and his conscience. But I do think, but we both know Queen Street.
Cardiff Queen Street, yeah.
And I used to work at store 323 Cardiff Queen Street.
Which was the Boots.
The big one that sort of goes from Queen Street all the way through the sort of St David's Shopping Centre and out the other side. When I first worked there, I used to work in a department which I think had a great name. It's called Men's Technical.
Men's Technical.
No women allowed. No, it's a bit technical there, darling. You go upstairs if you want to. But we sold cameras, binoculars, that sort of stuff, and home brewing kits.
And this was men's
This was known as Men's Technical. Don't let the ladies anywhere near a camera, whatever you do.
That could be...
It was honestly what it was called, Men's Tech.
I mean, could you pinpoint a year for us?
Yeah, we were talking about 92 onwards.
Right, and that is before my time on the Queen Street.
Not on the planet, but...
Not on the planet, no, I'd have still been in school.
But I'll have you know, we won Store of the Year a couple of times.
Oh, I'm sure you did.
3. But
I couldn't give you the number, but I worked a few years later down the road on Cardiff Queen Street in WH Smith's.
Another old brand. Yeah.
Before it became TG Jones, obviously. Back when it was WH Smith's. I worked there full time for a bit between university courses and whatever. I was there for a few months. I worked in the Bridgend branch of WH Smith's as a weekend job back when I was in school. So it was just a natural step up once I think I dropped out of university one of the numerous times. I'd like to say I just did that once, but there were a few times that happened before I finally secured that undergrad degree. But I worked in WH Smith's the stockroom.
Gosh, it doesn't sound very glamorous, but
no.
I mean, other than you were working for a well-known brand, the same as good old Jessie Boot.
Yeah, no, and the polyester trousers were very much a thing.
Did they chafe with you as well?
I don't think they were that comfortable, but because I worked in the stockroom,
terrible for a sweaty summer day, though.
I just didn't wear them. I wore just my own trousers because I wasn't actually allowed on the shop floor. Being a stockroom boy, it was a bit of a them and us, a sort of upstairs downstairs vibe in WH. If you were
yes, that was true with Boots as well.
If you were in the stockroom, you were kind of viewed as a sort of lower class. This does take me back now to this was quite a weird era in my life. I did work in the stockroom in WH Smith's in Cardiff, and they were quite surprised when they realised I knew how to use a till because I'd previously, as I say, worked in the Bridgend branch.
The EPOS. EPOS.
What you can cover on the tills? Well, I can if you'd like me to.
We haven't been till trained, love.
I had that skill. So that's what stockroom boy can work on the tills. But I took over in the stockroom. I got my role. Yes, that's right. I had dropped out. So I'd been in university up to Christmas. dropped out, got a job in WH Smith's stockroom just to sort of pay some bills, etc. Yeah. There was a guy who was retiring, and I don't know if I was taking over from him, but he was called Bob. And so Bob was retiring, and everyone said, it's all going to go wrong now. Bob's going.
Well, yeah.
Only Bob knows how to manage in the stockroom.
Every branch has got a Bob.
And then I turned up on the first day, and the guy that had sort of been Bob's assistant also left out of solidarity with Bob.
Oh,
it's all going to go. So like, so we've not only lost Bob, we've lost Bob's apprentice. And I started, and there was this, how are they going to cope?
Bob's protege.
Bob's protege had gone. Bob had gone. How are they going to cope in this stockroom without the expertise? Now, I don't want to do the professional stockroom worker down because, I don't want to sort of now have risen up to the role of teacher.
You weren't better than that.
We weren't better than, but it wasn't a difficult job. It was quite an easy job. So it turns out it was all fine. Once Bob had gone, it turns out that it was just fine. It wasn't. But there was a guy, and I'm going to name him because I don't think I can't remember his surname.
Isn't he?
I don't know. He was a fairly young guy called Howell.
He still could be.
Howell's part time and sort of only worked a few days a week. Well, part time.
He's probably got repetitive strain
because he was doing a part time degree as well. But Howell, so he wasn't there very often. So most of the time it was me, a guy called Chris who was taken on after me to replace the protege that had left. There was a manager who sort of kind of checked in with us from time to time. And we managed it was fine. But every now and again, Howell would turn up for work and he'd go,
sharp.
It's all gone wrong.
He sounded like you were gently letting the air out of a lilo.
He would just shake his head in disappointment. Bob would not have settled for this. No. Bob would not have tolerated.
So they felt the standards were slipping.
He felt standards were slipping as we opened up.
This is much more interesting than I thought. Right? No, you can see the animation in my face. The other thing, there's so many things I want to say about this part-time job. Right?
Yeah.
Thursday evenings is when I started. You had a 2-hour shift on Thursday evening, which was termed as late night shopping. And it was the 6 till 8 slot. And my goodness me, were the people who'd worked longer than that 6 to 8 huffing and puffing by the time it got to 7:30.
That's a long day.
There was like a half an hour close down routine trying to sort of move the customers out. But that was time and a half. You got time and a half for Thursday night because it was 6 till 8. It was described as unsociable hours.
That's true because it was back in the 90s. Thursday was late night shopping.
Late night shopping. And Saturday was time and a half. It was seen as, I don't want to work Saturdays.
In a shop.
I know,
I remember that.
And then I was there for the first Sunday opening. Now, this was a big thing for Store 323 because Graham, the store manager, he couldn't be expected to work 7 days a week. Big store like that, 323, 3 levels. Yeah. So, he did a couple of 7-day weeks as we were opening, because obviously nobody could cope without Graham. Mm. But then they started putting the other managers, so like the HR manager, Pat, I'll never forget Pat. How you been? How's it going? If you said, you had to say something positive, because if you didn't, she wouldn't listen anyway.
Right.
There was no ability to step in and help you out. So there was no point in saying anything other than it was. And then... yes, but the Sunday opening, double time for Sunday. Double time because it was that. And I think they paid even more on a bank holiday. It might even have been 2.5 times for bank holiday.
Just for being open on days when people could actually go shopping.
Yeah. And if I was working in a university or school holiday, well, I was going to be there on the Monday anyway.
It's absolutely fine, yeah.
And you got a free breakfast as well. But the Sunday was eventually entrusted to one of the supervisors who was able to step up. What Lynn's going to do on Sunday is Lynn's not going to wear the stripy tie. You might not recognise her. But Lynn's going to be wearing a suit on a Sunday because she's now been appointed Sunday manager. So Lynn became the Sunday manager. And this caused great consternation because there were 2 Lynns. And one of them used to manage the stockroom, which was linking to your story to show I was listening, right?
Yes.
One of them used to... So then you couldn't just say Lynn or Linda, because, there was confusion. Which Linda do you mean?
Panicky. Yeah.
Do you mean Linda, the now newly promoted Sunday manager, who was on, I think, despite all their good pay, was on something like £1 more an hour for doing the Sunday? even back in those days. But then you had to say whether it was Linda or whether it was Linda Gog.
Right.
Linda Gog. It wasn't her name. It was Goggerty.
Right.
But it was short, and I don't know if it was a Welsh thing or not. Oh, Linda Gog is there?
Right.
Oh, do you mean Linda? It was that kind of.
So Linda was just Linda, and then Linda Gog.
Linda had to be Linda because Linda was the manager.
The Sunday manager.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's important.
But if Graham came in, Linda would take very much a back seat. Who wants to talk about education, though? We could just do discussions about old jobs. I've had about 40 of them. We could reminisce on everything from the feel of the uniform against our skin to...
Well, I mean, in some ways, it might lead us to why we got into teaching eventually.
Yeah. I tell you what, though, if they would pay current salary now even if I had to take on the management of Sunday, although it would be totally different because they're owned by private equity. It'll all be different. Everything will be different. Those companies, when we worked for them, were owned by the actual company.
Yeah.
Jesse Boot of Nottingham.
Yeah, that's all changed.
All changed.
For example, W.H. Smith's now being T.G. Jones.
Yeah.
W.H. Smith was an actual
private
person.
Private equity again, isn't it?
T.G. Jones, not a person.
No, a made up.
To sound a bit like W.H. Smith.
And Jesse Boot was...
Jesse Boot.
Yeah.
John Sainsbury was John Sainsbury.
Exactly.
My great-grandfather sold pigs to John Sainsbury. So should we get on with the show then? Welcome to Ben and James Could Do Better.
I think we've just proved that we certainly could, and we'll keep working at it.
Well, we say that every week, and yet we haven't done better. Well, I mean, actually, you had some feedback saying we have progressively got better, so that's quite good.
Yes, I've had 2 bits of feedback saying we progressively got better.
But they weren't fans of the first...
They weren't, because one of them said to me, I'm working my way through episode 1 several times.
Yeah.
And then the other day said, when's the next one coming out? And I said, what, episode 2? It's been out for weeks. And she went, no, I've listened to them all.
Because we've had a few people saying they're working their way through episode 1.
It's obviously been a really difficult listen.
So,
it was very difficult.
Clearly...
first album, they're normally the good ones.
It does demonstrate progress if people... Apparently when people get past episode 1...
So keep that in mind, firmly in mind.
Although if you're listening to this, presumably you have, because this isn't episode 1.
And I know, I almost want to apologise if you had to listen to episode 1 to get here, because it seems like it's quite an endurance test.
And there's no benefit to listening in order.
No,
truthfully.
Makes no difference. So then it's time that I took the register, and the class was sort of obviously coming to an immediate attention for me, as they always do, sitting in their designated chairs, looking for me to do a swifter job than I sometimes do of the register. So I'm present, obviously, because I'm taking the register. So, James?
Sì, sono qui.
Is that Spanish?
No.
Portuguese?
Italiano.
Oh, Italiano. Oh, prego. Yeah, prego. I love Italiano.
Now, the problem we've got there is last week I also did French, this week I've done Italian. I've run out of A-levels in languages at this point, so I'm going to have to learn some new
Yeah,
ones.
but you did say it with a Mexican accent. I don't really understand that.
Didn't I say it with an Italian accent? I mean, it's been a few years since I did the A-level. I lived in France,
Bellissimo.
so my French is okay. Not up to the standards of my children.
Or your wife.
My wife, she's quite complimentary. It's my children that absolutely...
Well, one of them refuses, as we know, to talk to.
Matilda refuses to accept that I can speak it, but now Jemima asks me to read her stories. Likes a story. Can you read me a story? And she always picks a French book, and I read it to her.
But it's Matilda you need to work on.
No, Matilda wouldn't let me read a French book, but Jemima now lets me read to her and then corrects me as I'm reading the story. So we'll correct my pronunciation. Lets me read it in French, but will tell me I've mispronounced a word.
Time for the postcard.
Just to pick, I'm going to pick one at random. Not one we've had before, though. I nearly did that then.
In my experience, it doesn't matter whether it's random or one you've thought about, to be honest.
Well, it's better if I haven't thought about it.
Yes,
it's much better. Look, this is a postcard which depicts 2 cats clearly in love. 2 cats in love.
Yeah, I'm going to surprise you here and go, oh, that's lovely.
Yeah, I mean, there's 2 cats hugging with a heart above them, and it's dreadful. It shouldn't exist, but it does. And that's it.
It is dreadful. It shouldn't exist.
Right, anyway.
Moving on.
We've done the postcard bit. We've done the register bit.
I like the audit that we've done there.
So what have you been up to this week then, Ben?
I'm not sure I want to admit it.
Oh, I mean, I think that's piqued everyone's curiosity.
I've been coming sort of gradually obsessed with 80s and 90s mini metros. Well, Mini Metro followed by the Rover Metro, which then became, if you're interested, around sort of 95, the Rover 100. But yeah, it was the Austin Metro, the Mini Metro, the Rover Metro, and then the Rover 100. And it was an evolution rather than a revolution. So what did you get up to?
I spent some time in Smith's Toys Superstore.
I thought we were going back to W.H. Smith's.
Not to be confused with W.H. Smith's, which doesn't exist anymore, is now T.G. Jones. Although W.H. Smith's does exist in airports and train stations, I believe. Now, I do like a toy shop, I'm not going to lie to you, but I mainly went there to take my children toy shopping because Jemima, the younger child, had a birthday in April and acquired some vouchers for that establishment, for Smith's Toy Superstore. She's got some vouchers to spend. And Matilda has actually saved up some pocket money because we give her pocket money. And normally Matilda will spend her pocket money the second she acquires it, or will try to.
What does she like to spend it on?
Anything rubbish, just absolute rubbish.
Papa magazine with
she speaks English. We've
toy.
established she only speaks English to me, right? So she will spend
with a French.
With a French accent. No, like Jemima's got the French. You've got to keep up. Jemima, the younger child, the 4-year-old, has a French accent.
Yeah,
and speaks mainly in French, but can speak English when she chooses. Matilda speaks both languages fluently and both.
But won't speak to you.
But won't speak to me in French.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I know it's coming slowly to me, but
good. You'll get there. She will try and spend her pocket money the instant she gets it. But I will normally refuse to let her spend her money on absolute rubbish. So she has, through just my unwillingness to let her buy things, saved a fair bit. So Jemima had some actual vouchers to spend. Matilda had a fair bit of pocket money, and it's sort of been building
sizable sum,
a decent amount. Yeah, and. So she had been kind of chomping at the bit, quite literally chomping at the bit. She'd lost 2 teeth as well, so the tooth fairy had given her some money as well, because that's the thing that happens if the tooth fairy remembers, which sometimes the tooth fairy forgets. Yeah. It's not ideal. But the tooth fairy...
which one's on duty, I suppose.
It does. But the tooth fairy, it normally pays up in the end, but not always. It's not always the speedy transaction.
Bit quicker after paying.
Bank holidays aren't great, for example. So I took both my children to Smith's Toy Superstore. Yeah. Now, Matilda was straight away, like, I'm having that. She wanted everything.
It was a plastic festival, was it?
Yeah, but has been hankering for what can only be described as a fake mobile phone.
Gosh. This is not boding well.
It's quite good in a way because it's not it doesn't do any of the things mobile phones do, but it looks like one, and it does sort of educational stuff. So it's all right, actually. So she actually had enough money to buy one of these.
I think it's conditioning.
Well, she wanted one. I didn't want to get it for her for a birthday. She had enough money to buy one. I thought at the end of the day, this is something she's going to keep.
It's got to be an element of choice about it.
It's got to be an element of choice. So I identified that. She identified she had enough money for it. I was surprised she had enough money for it, but she actually did. Jemima couldn't have been less interested in spending the vouchers. In the end, she bought some toy unicorns. But we got home. Jemima actually, though not interested in the acquisition of goods, unlike her sister, then did proceed to play with the toys. Matilda took the phone out of the box and did play with it, and then it ran out of battery, and we plugged it into charge, and it wouldn't charge. So I've had to make 2 trips to Smith's Toy Superstore this week. One with the children to buy the stuff, and the second one to return the toy phone that didn't work. And that
sounds like hell on earth.
It's not great. And then I went in, and they were like, "Well, it's an electronics good, so you can't we need to check that you're telling the truth."
Oh gosh, it was a truth sort of serum required.
We might not be able to do this today. And I was a bit, it's surely you can. And they did, to be fair. The manager came out and he said, right, I'll check that for you. And he did. And he said, no, you're absolutely right, that's not working. Would you like a refund or would you like to exchange it? And I said, well, I personally would like the refund, but my child would like to exchange it. So we got another one, and that works, and that's fine. And she's delighted. So there you go, that's been my week.
It was more involved than I thought it would be, but I do thank you for sharing it.
I was happy to share it. And Matilda would be happy to share the joy of using a pretend mobile phone.
Do you think she might find me funny if she starts listening to this, or do you think she's going to, I will be the second ageing male whom she'll opt out communicating with?
Again, my daughter does communicate with me, just not in French.
Yes, I know, but
you seem confused by the relationship I have with my children.
I'm not confused by it, but
my children do quite like me, both of them, and both of them speak to me.
There's never been any suggestion.
Well, I mean, there was literally just a suggestion then, so I'm going to just clarify that with you. So, I have a list. Well, this list, it's not a very long list, so that's the good news.
Merciful, I think.
And there's not a lot of explanation to the list either, so it's just the titles, and then there's not much. It's fairly self-explanatory.
This is going to be sort of, we're just going to rattle through these.
We'll rattle through the list.
There's not going to be anything remotely amusing about it.
But there's a story before the list.
Okay. Well, we all know who has to tell the story.
Well, I'll try and keep it brief.
The floor is yours.
You say that, you'll interrupt me, and
I won't, actually.
I think you will.
I won't.
I think you're going to want to.
I'm going to want to, but I'm not going to.
I think you'll have to.
All right, well, let's see how it goes.
I think that you will not be able to not interrupt for this story. This story is about a gentleman. I'm not going to give you his name because he's a local man, but he made the news. Well, I mean, let's say the news. He made an online news story that I found. And so this is a man who used to work in publishing.
Right, okay.
He decided, in a moment of inspiration, it says here, this is what he said. He had a road to Damascus thought, and in a moment of inspiration...
I'm always already laughing.
Bracket or madness, decided to leave the corporate world to become a GCSE English teacher.
I think he should have visited the GP first of all.
Well, he wanted to, as we've said before, he wanted to give something back. Having been very successful in the world of publishing, he wanted to give something back. So he went into teaching and he taught GCSE English in a college. So not a secondary school as such.
So it's sort of 14 to 19 job.
Yeah, although I think 16 to 19 for
16 to 19.
Post 16. This is for GCSE resits, effectively. People who hadn't thrived doing GCSE English in school. Obviously, you need to get that at GCSE if you possibly can. So the GCSE resit in English and maths is quite a popular business. And I
wouldn't say it's popular with the students, but it's something they need to do.
It's popular in the sense that there's a lot of uptake. And he wanted to give something back and he wanted to support these young people.
Laudable.
Laudable. What surprised him in a GCSE resit class was how few of the students enjoyed reading. And he was surprised by the lack of the fact they didn't love him.
The lack of a love of learning and a love of reading.
Gotcha. So he was surprised by this because he worked in publishing and of course he loves reading. He grew up in a house full of books.
Yeah.
And was surprised that the young people didn't love reading.
Was he more than surprised?
More than surprised. So
disgusted?
Not disgusted, no, but disappointed because
very disappointed.
Reading is something that's obviously something he's very passionate about. And it's a skill.
Sad. He was sad.
Sad, I think is the word. Yeah, sad.
Yeah. We're not saying the guy's sad, obviously.
No,
we don't know him,
no, but I think he felt quite emotional.
He felt emotional, sad. Yeah.
He'd left the corporate world of publishing to give something back, and
then when he got there, they didn't want it. They didn't want what he was giving back.
They didn't want it. Now he persevered, and he tried to, and he's committed himself to trying to inspire a love of reading in young people who don't love reading. And what he realised was that there are some issues with the English curriculum. And in fact, some of the books that we're asking children to read, turns out they don't want to read.
I've got to be very careful what I'm saying, but yes, this is chiming with me.
Yeah. The problem we've got here is, of course, he's not going to be able to change the curriculum.
No.
Lord knows people have tried before him and they haven't been successful. So he was never going to... So in trying to aspire a love of reading, he sort of introduced different texts to them, tried to take them outside.
Sounds incredibly laudable.
But the problem, obviously, with that
with this sort of sadness in his heart.
Yeah, it's a real worry. The online world has replaced books. And anyway, so he left publishing, became a teacher, has now left teaching, and has become a writer.
Well, how long was he in teaching for? Because you're asking me to take this man seriously, and I was taking him seriously. I felt the pain in his heart. I felt the sadness that he felt. I felt him wanting to share his love of literacy with other people. I felt him leaving his company and his highly paid job and his personal assistant and his Mercedes Maybach.
Well, let me read you a bit about some of his... I'll give you his words.
Right, okay. Well, let's have some of his words. This should be good.
The move to teaching turned a long-held ambition into a reality by giving something back to society, using the medium I love. Now, it's important to say, money was not the significant factor in making this decision.
Of course it wasn't. He was going into teaching.
In fact, he took a 75% pay cut.
Goodness me. Well, that's commitment, isn't it?
He's a hero.
I don't suppose he had anything in the bank.
No.
He'd run that dry, hadn't he?
Hand to mouth now.
I mean, busking. Yeah. And then as he was waiting to...
This man had to live on the salary of a teacher.
Gosh, yeah.
How did he do it?
Well, I just want to say thank you on behalf of all teachers.
We do, yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, I do. No, I do.
It was about getting into a classroom to see if he could use his experience in book publishing to make a difference to teaching English to teenagers. Now, whether he did or not...
He didn't produce a list, did
he? Well, he did, yes. Yes, he did. He wanted to bring reading in. So at the start of each term, he challenged pupils to learn 100 new words, but he used to talk to them about the books he was reading.
Right.
He made personalised book suggestions for them.
For the research students.
Yeah. And introduced them to the worlds of Lee Child and the Jack Reacher
Lee
novels.
Child, yeah. No, Lee Child, yeah. But I don't know Lee Child.
No problems there. Except he's not on the curriculum, of course. That's the only problem.
I think it's great wanting to foster a love of reading in young people, but I think you'll find if you try trying to give back and working with the resit class, just getting them to focus on the actual set text would probably be.
Yeah, I mean, he's got some problems with the set text, and he says, some of them are over 100 years old, and it's not. Again,
why doesn't he take that up with the exam board? It's got. I mean, it's or the government. Either.
Well, he's just sharing his story.
Yeah. Okay.
Sharing his story. Anyway, he's now not a teacher. It doesn't say how long he was in teaching.
No, it doesn't strike me as long.
I don't think so, no. But he's written his own book as well.
Well, we're not here to plug people's books, but this could be an exception.
I'm not saying his name. But he writes in short, action-packed chapters, much like Dan Brown.
Gosh, right. So, now, some people criticise Dan Brown, but there's no doubting his success, is there?
Yeah. And he finishes...
So this could be similar to that?
I think so. We're hoping so. Well, I'll talk to you... and I looked up his book on Amazon just before.
So we got some sales figures for later on, maybe?
I haven't got sales figures. I can tell you that he's only had 5-star reviews. Only had 5-star reviews.
Oh, well.
Right.
Yeah, well, I know a few people like that.
Well. He's had 8 5-star reviews.
Right, okay.
So that is 6 less than us.
Yeah. I don't think we're here to brag.
No.
To be honest with you,
or just to be clear, that's 6 less than we've got on Spotify. We've got other 5-star reviews on other platforms as well. But he might have other 5-star reviews on other platforms. So I'm just comparing his Amazon reviews with our Spotify reviews.
And to be clear, we're not on Amazon.
We are on Amazon Music. Actually, you can listen to us on that. We've got no reviews on there.
Yeah. So it's not a popular route to market for us.
Not so much, no. But it's not a book, so it is the route for Amazon.
Maybe it's where we need to go when we've got the merchandise.
Well, when we write a book, which we might do. Anyway, so he's not. So I'm not saying he's not a bestseller, but I think 8 reviews on Amazon doesn't.
I think we are going to write a book, and we're going to commit to that here and now.
Yeah, well, it sounds like there's a pathway to helping improve literacy in teenagers.
Yeah,
short chapters like Dan Brown. He says, one of my pupils told me he'd done more than 1,000 hours on a computer game. Imagine if he just spent 100 hours reading. What a difference that would make.
Now that is inspirational.
But what he's then done, with all his years of experience in teaching, teaching people to read. Yeah. Well, he doesn't teach them to read, though, does he? He teaches them English GCSE, which isn't.
That's not teaching somebody to read.
You assume a base level of literacy at the outset. Whether you're correct to assume it is another matter, but you do assume when you teach that. Anyway, he has got some advice on how to get teenage boys reading, and this is the list.
Right, before you do. I want to get it out there that since the days of the Commodore 64, even in those days, which weren't exactly known for sort of wonderful graphics and fully immersive games. If you'd have said to me, and I'm not a gamer, bear this in mind, could you come away from the Commodore 64 connoisseur and read one of these books? It would have been met with, at best, resistance. At worst, things that can't be said on this. But I didn't like computer games. That's how much I would have been keen to move on to fiction or poetry. Yeah. Give me a book with sort of facts in it or a historical story or whatever.
You've preempted the advice. Preempted the advice.
Well, no, if I can deliver 20% of what this published author who's left industry, this magnate, if I can give 20% of that, I'll be very happy.
Now, this advice isn't for teachers, but it's sort of educational advice. It's aimed at parents.
Right.
How do you, as a
clear
parent...
target audience, parents.
It's good advice. If you've got teenage boys and they're not reading enough. Not girls, though. Don't worry about girls. This is just for boys, okay?
Yes.
No problem with girls.
There's no problem with girls reading, then, is what we're saying.
All girls across the board. Anyway, he says, how to get teen boys reading, and this is aimed at parents. So, piece of advice number 1, and I think you've already touched upon it, respect his interests and passions. Respect the boy who is not reading's passions and interests. Although, I would argue that his interests and passions are to not read, amongst other things.
And if the passion was gaming, you're not going to stop him gaming because that would be showing disrespect to his passion.
He's explained it in a bit more detail.
Okay.
So if the boy is obsessed by cricket, football or gaming, find him novels, biographies on those subjects without judgment.
Yeah, look, I think we have to be fair. That's not a bad suggestion.
It's fine. That's okay.
But I was just saying that the passion is likely to be something that would stop them reading.
Yeah, and it seems painfully obvious, but that's fine. Okay.
Yeah.
Get them to read.
It is painfully obvious.
Get them to read something that they're interested in. Okay, but
I won't help them pass the GCSE though.
It's not GCSE, but it might get them reading, and that's laudable in itself.
I have bought a Haynes manual on the Metro.
And you're interested in it's your passion, that's great.
Well, I was trying to sort of teach myself something about how the internal combustion engine works. It's not going to help me pass GCSE English.
No, that's not going to do that.
Informative a read as it is.
No, because GCSE English is going to require other skills. But we are going to... I mean, essentially, what point number 1 is saying is let the boy choose what he wants to read. Point number 2, let him choose.
point number 2 is let him choose.
Yes.
But point number 1 was let him choose.
In different words, yes. So it says he's more likely to read what he wants. Yes, probably. Things about his interests and passion, I'd imagine. But yes, okay.
Oh, my goodness me.
Point number 1.
So read point number 1, word verbatim, please.
Point number 1. Respect his interests and passions. If he's obsessed by cricket, football or gaming, find him novels and biographies on those subjects without judgment. It doesn't matter if it's not well written.
That's enough. So respect his passions.
Yes.
Is what the first 3 words say.
Yeah.
Can you read the first 3 words of point 2, please?
Well, the title's Let Him Choose. He's more likely to read what he wants, whether comics, sports magazines or autobiographies, than what you select for him.
Let him choose. Let him choose. But we've just established that the fictitious boy or boys are not choosing to read.
Right.
So by saying, well, you choose,
they will choose
they'll
nothing.
just say, "Off, Dad."
Yes.
I don't want to.
Right, okay. There's more than 2 points, though.
Right, okay. Well, the first 2 are...
But this man wants to give something back. Will you let him, please?
Well, the first 2 are 1.
Point number 3, visit literary locations.
Right.
So
it's a bit more flesh on this bone. I mean, we know what they are. We don't mean going to the platform 3 3/4, do we? Or
yeah, no. Well, it's sort of It says bring a book alive by visiting together the real life place where the story is set.
Right. So you're in Provence.
Go to Provence, yeah. It also says, though, make a point of browsing bookshops together. So it's sort of 2. It's both the locations within the books and places where they sell books.
Right. So once you've got the boy or boys off the gaming console, the phone, because they'll be 16, so they're not going to be locked away in a cupboard at home and all the rest of it. Yeah. Then what we're going to say to him is we need to go to this particular bridge or this bit of open scrubland or whatever it is, a mansion that looks like it could have featured in Wuthering Heights. And we will stand there together, just taking in the mise-en-scène, if you like. So let him choose, take him somewhere.
Yes, it's actually right. So,
right.
Point 4.
So it's basically take him on a day out.
Yeah.
But you'd have to go. They'd have to say something like, "Oh, can we go to the amusement arcade as well, Dad?" Or is there a theme park around here? Or
very cynical. You're almost like this isn't going to work.
Or are you going to get me those trainers that you've been promising me?
I think what
is there a Smith's toy shop nearby?
The problem you've got here is that you're thinking of literary works and how a young person going to the site of a literary work isn't going to be that inspired because they're not inspired by that kind of work. So point 4, airport fiction is just fine.
Airport fiction.
So what he's saying there...
A Dan Brown.
Yeah, it's exactly what he said. He said, don't force the classics on him.
Exactly.
Reading for pleasure is the priority.
Exactly.
The Jack Reacher series by Lee Child and Dan Brown's Da Vinci Code are a great place to start.
The Jack Reacher series.
Jack Reacher and obviously the Dan Brown, the Da Vinci Code. Slim volumes, both.
Yeah.
Dan Brown's not on the GCSE. More's the pity.
No, you could, and on that one, you could really, I mean, we're coming towards the summertime. You know, if you've got any money left after the cost of living rises, you could say, look, guys, we are off to Rome. We're going to fly into Fiumicino or Ciampino, whichever, is the cheaper. We're going to stay in, very cheap, I'm sure, central accommodation. We are going to go down to the colonnade in the Vatican City, and we're going to look up to the top of the colonnade. We're going to look around the top and we can go, gosh, they can run along that wall, just like they did in the Dan Brown, from the Vatican to a place of safety or exile or whatever it is. You could see where
I'm going to have to stop you there because
you don't have to just envisage. You could be there.
Yeah. The problem with that is that because we might have some teenage boys listening to this. We know we do have teenage boys who listen to this, and they might not be big readers, and they might have listened to that and thought that's exactly what I'm going to do. And there is a Dan Brown novel set in Rome. But that's called Angels and Demons. That's not the Da Vinci Code. That's set in Paris.
Oh, gosh.
And a bit in London, but not in Rome. Yeah. Rome is Angels and Demons.
Angels and Demons, yeah.
Now, obviously, if you are a child...
It was more Dan Brown I was talking
Dan
about.
Brown, generally. Yeah. And if you are a child who doesn't like reading, or a young man who doesn't like reading... Something like the Da Vinci Code is perfect because it's a slim volume. It's only 590 pages. So a slim 590-page volume is exactly what you'd be looking for if you're a reluctant reader. So point number 5, model the habit. Okay, because that's a big problem. Is they don't see a lot of people reading. Go about life with a book in your hand to normalise reading as a part of everyday life.
Oh, hello. Yeah, I'm just off to the toilet. Nice.
Actually, that's where my dad does a lot of his reading. So that's,
yes.
Point 6. Back to respect. Respect his limits.
Sounds like a sexual health sort of...
If he's not enjoying a book by page 100, it's okay for him to give up.
Well, I suppose if he got to page 100 and he was a reluctant reader, you'd be quite happy anyway, wouldn't you?
I think that's fine. I mean, 100 pages of reading. I think if he gets to page 10 and he's not enjoying it, let him give up.
Yeah, but no.
I mean, 10 pages.
Mate, this guy came out of industry to go back into teaching. He's expecting people to give something a good crack before they give up.
I mean, if I'm honest, if I was working with reluctant readers...
And they were reading anything for any period of
Well,
time.
if we were going off curriculum, which he seems to be encouraging, I might not give them a book that's more than 100 pages. So if they've got to page 100, finish the book. Point number 7, if in doubt, and I imagine a lot of parents will be in doubt, ask a librarian. Can they even find an open library? Let's assume they...
Well, most of them are being closed, haven't they?
So I don't know if that is great advice, ask a librarian, because I think if you can find a librarian, by all means ask a librarian if you can find one, but they're not as ubiquitous as the list suggests. They're not waiting there. There aren't as many libraries to employ librarians to therefore give that recommendation. Point 8. Well, if your son, or perhaps you, not a big reader, if your son reads just one short story this term, it should be Go See Costas by Tom Hanks.
Go See Costas.
By Tom Hanks.
By Tom Hanks.
Yes, the actor Tom Hanks, I believe. I'm not saying all of this advice has been bad, although it has. But what I am saying is, that's awful advice, isn't it? Just, if they're only going to read one thing, it must be this. Story by Tom Hanks.
What even is it about?
I don't know. I mean, I'm now going to read Go See Costas by Tom Hanks, just so I know. And I'll see if I'll recommend it next time. If your son reads just one short story this term, let them choose. Let them choose. Don't insist on it being a story by Tom Hanks.
Yeah.
Because...
But he just completely contradicted and undermined himself by saying if he's going to read, if the lazy blighter's going to read something... And by God, he'll be reading something. It's going to be Go See Costas by Tom Hanks.
Point number 9 of 9.
And this is really going to sort of pull it all together.
It is, and it's not going to undermine any of the previous points. It supports, even though point 8 undermined everything.
As they often do, these lists, yeah. It really sort of comes together in the last point, I think.
If your son says reading is not for me, remind him he just hasn't found the right book yet.
Well,
I think we've solved it. I think we've solved low literacy levels amongst boys.
It was a very, very imaginative list. And I think a very emotionally intelligent list. I mean, respect them, listen to them, don't force them to do anything apart from reading Tom Hanks, of course.
Which goes without saying, really, doesn't it? So,
there always is an exception, though, James. You know that as well as I do. By God, you can take the horse to water and you will make it drink Tom Hanks. It's as simple as that. I always thought you could take the horse to water, but you can't force it to drink. But in this case, you can take the boy to the book and you will force it. The boy will be called at that point. Won't even be humanised. It will read Tom Hanks, Go See Costas.
Or perhaps the book this man's written as well. That'd be fine. Or anything by Dan Brown.
Yeah. Well, absolutely, yeah. Well, that very sadly brings us to the end of another very interesting and amusing podcast. James, it's been great to spend time with you.
And you. But it doesn't bring us to the end of our love of literacy, of course.
Certainly not.
So between now and next week, I would urge all of our listeners to read Go See Costas by Tom Hanks. And I will certainly read it, and I'm sure you'll read it too, Ben.
On that note, we'll wish you well. And if you are transiting through an airport at this point, then don't forget to pick up something. But obviously if your son won't read the airport fiction, insist that he reads something by Tom Hanks, particularly Go See Costas.
No, I'm off to Go See Costas, so I'm going to say goodbye.
Goodbye.